Sports Blitz Live is on the air with full coverage of the Auburn Tigers,
Touchdown, Auburn!
the Alabama Crimson Tide,
Off to the inside, intercepted Alabama. Touchdown!
and everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sports Blitz Live.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. I'm Randy alongside, and we're going to fix that intro because Scott's on here more than really any of us are on Saturday mornings. And, Scott, I'm putting that on you. That's one of your many duties this upcoming week is to have Kane or somebody change out some verbiage so we can actually act like you're part of the team now.
I like it.
You've only been doing these Saturday shows for 3 or 4 years at this point, but glad to have you on with us 7 to 9 this morning. Phone lines will be open the entire 2 hours of the program. 256-234-6221. Spring sports here in the state of Alabama brings many activities from track and field to softball, to baseball, to individual sports like tennis and golf. I don't see as much information coming over on those tennis and golf and individual sports, but Scott, there is tons of information that come over from the AHSAA when it comes to softball, baseball, and what's going on with track and field. Track and field, you know, we're not in a community that takes track and field serious. I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but we're not. And so when I grew up, and I don't know about you, but when you grew up, we kind of slung together. I love Coach Hicks, so I want to tell a story right here. There may be some others out there. Coach Henry Hicks was our basketball and football coach, and he moved over to the high school where he coached our offensive side of the ball. He was our backfield coach, and he ended up being the basketball coach and the head basketball coach when you went through school. Love Coach Hicks, one of my favorite coaches of all time. But he ended up drawing the short straw in middle school and had to coach the track program. And that's how our track program worked in Ellick City is you'd have a different coach that would be assigned to doing that every year. So the only reason I ever ran track or any of my friends ever ran track, Scott, was because if you wanted to play basketball, Coach Hicks said, because he got, again, the short straw, you had to run track. And if you didn't run track, you couldn't be part of the basketball team the upcoming year. And but I think there are a lot of communities out there, and I didn't realize it until our role with the AHSAA comes up, that is a year-round sport. That is cross-country to indoor track and field to outdoor track and field here in the spring. And a lot of these athletes, some of the best athletes in the state, many of them, let's say they're a football player, and their second sport is track and field, where they're going to run indoor and outdoor track in the winter and then in the spring. So it's a massive sport that I don't think I realized existed that much out there.
Yeah, when I was working with the Sports Fest for the state games, that's when my, I guess, exposure to how involved and how many parents and kids are involved on the track and field side. I mean, that would be our largest participating sport, both as a team and individuals. But Birmingham area, very strong with track and field. You have, as is the case with most of our sports, your Big 5 cities, your Big 10s, you know, your larger metropolitan areas usually do pretty well as relates to track. Every now and then, a school our size, you know, we'll be able to have a guy or a couple guys like a Sedarian or Malcolm who's just every time he goes out there, he's breaking a new record. But when I was coming through, it really wasn't. I don't even know if we had a track and field team.
That's the point I'm making.
But cross country, I will say cross country at the time, like we were pretty strong with that.
You must have had a coach that took the reins and said that I'm going to take this serious.
I think Coach Tucker was the cross country.
It had. I mean, really,
if I'm
in communities like ours, and this is not a knock here. This is how a lot of athletic teams work around the state. You embrace certain sports, and others, they're there for you to participate in if you choose to, but nobody really talks about it and nobody really cares about it. I tell people still right now about Malcolm Simmons. I don't want to tell y'all how great an athlete Malcolm Simmons is. He goes to school at Benjamin Russell High School, and he is breaking state records in the high jump. Now, those of you that didn't grow up in Ellick City don't know what I just said. But what I'm saying is that guy has gotten whatever, and I'm not knocking whichever coach drew the short straw again, but that guy's had no probably true training, and he is out there with his athleticism, and he loves it now. He talks about it a lot when I'm around him, and but still, that's the difference. Whereas other parts of the state, man, they just and I did the track and field circuit this past summer with my son was running over in Opelika, who is a program that's always really cared about their track and field, is Opelika High School. So we did a little circuit, and you're right, man. You get in some of these inner cities, it is the thing to go to. It's the event on Saturdays. It is packed. I'll never forget, we went to one in Chelsea last year. They got a new park. And the whole city of Birmingham, I think, was there participating in that thing. Massive. I probably called you that Saturday and said, what in the world am I involved in here? It is huge. The Alabama Sports Games, they've got the Olympic-style games that are here in the state of Alabama. You worked for them. They're a part of our sponsorship program now on the AHSAA side, and we can't thank them enough. But track and field is one of many that they put out there, Scott. Take a couple of minutes just to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're gearing up. The games will be in June, and always a great event, and it brings across the whole spectrum of athletes across the state. And what I loved about it was you do get exposed to some of your non-traditional sports. We'll say Olympic-style events, whether it's really, track and field is the primary one where you get the exposure. But my first exposure to pickleball was 15 years ago, and so it was starting to grow then. Lacrosse is pretty heavy within the state games as well. So sports that you don't typically get a lot of traction with because they're not sanctioned sports in the state, and so some are at this point. But it gets exposure to sports that kids maybe wouldn't have been involved in, whether it was shooting or, whatever it may be, shooting style games. So anyway, saying that to say it's a really big event. But going back to your point about athletics here, or track and field specifically here, very similar to wrestling, where you need numbers to be able to have a competitive team. And so speaking of the short stick, my uncle and Coach Krager were the coaches who
okay, well, I didn't know that, so sorry, Jerry.
No, they did get the short stick, but that's what he's been talking about, is that really very similar to what we've had to do with basketball, is reintroducing the sport at the youth level to start to get some buy-in and engagement, because you're basically just pulling kids to say, hey, come play, or to come participate in track and field. And there's a time like now where you got a little something where you've got an opportunity to gain some exposure for the sport. But very similar to wrestling, if you don't have the numbers across the board, you're not going to be able to be competitive. If we'd have had 10 more people just participate in events last year, Benjamin Russell would have had a good opportunity to compete for a state title. So when you have the type of athletes that you have now, especially with the Sedarian and Malcolm Simmons, makes it a little bit easier. But individually, they're doing very well. As great as Malcolm has been, Sedarian's top 5 in the state as well every week as well. So just getting it introduced again, I guess, to the younger levels, and figuring out a way to, from Parks and Rec standpoint, to be able to provide that as an avenue to participate.
Well, it's massive. In certain parts of the state, a lot of the private schools really take it serious. Their distance running's outstanding. And I think that's the reason, because there's so many distance runs in comparison to the 100 and 200 meters that get a lot of the exposure and a lot of the eyeballs to it. Well, those other events, like the long jump, like the high jump, they score just as many points by winning those as whoever wins the 100 meters. So there's some schools around this state that have won 20-plus state championships in track and field, and some of them are your private schools. And they have an avenue with cross country, then indoor, and then outdoor track. There's a girl down in St. Paul's right now who I think's one of the top decathletes in the country. And that's, 10 sports, got to be, versatile through a number of different variety of things. And it's her deal. And, I had no idea that we even had participation in something like that until you get involved with it. But I didn't want to start the program with that.
I mean, Dylan Dean is a really good example of that, when, it was just him, basically.
Well, I think, I remember when he was going through, he won cross-country state championship, and I don't know that we had ever participated at that point in an indoor track and field event. And his dad called me and said, Randy, how do you get an individual student that's part of a school that doesn't participate in indoor track or has never participated? I said, I think you've got to at least send in your information and get the school sanction to be able to participate. And since then, I think we've been able to, but I think it was Dylan that brought it to the forefront. It's a lot like Robert Howard on the swimming side. If you don't go to a school where participation is really high in a certain sport, then you are an individual out there that are competing. And, Malcolm won a state championship in indoor track while he was playing basketball for your uncle this year. I bet he high jumped a couple of times a week at the most, and that was probably pretty much on his own during the basketball season. That's what kind of athlete he is. But it is massive around this state. High participation. Some of our best athletes here in the state participate in track and field. Every week we give away Athlete of the Weeks, and at least half of them during this time of year, because there's so many events that are going on, are given to track and field athletes. And I want to take this time on this opening segment while we're talking about high school sports to kind of prod each of you out there. If you've got kids, if you've got teams that we need to spotlight more than you feel they have gotten or have deserved, very easy. Send me an email. Go to our AHSAA Radio Network page on Facebook. Find me there. Message me there. Let me know. I had probably, out of the 30 or 40 posts, maybe I made a lot more than that this week. Let's just say the 50 posts, a quarter of them that I made this week were recommendations that I got from parents or from coaches out there. So I need you. 256-234-6221 is our opportunity here for you to call in and talk about certain kids out there that should be spotlighted. When we come back after this opening break, we're going to run down the Alabama Sports Writers Association top 10 polls in baseball. Scott, we'll run down softball after that. We got plenty of college sports to talk about with Alabama, with a great opportunity today to move on to the Final Four, and we'll talk at length with Luke Robinson on that, but we're going to keep it in the high school ranks right now and talk about that the opening hour. 256-234-6221, more of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Sportz Auto Sales, Highway 280 in Kellyton, Alabama, is home-owned and home-operated. If you're looking for tires, they have it. If you're looking for a vehicle, they have them. Great selection. Always out looking for more just for you, the customer. And if you're looking for service, whether you buy the vehicle from them or whether you buy the vehicle somewhere else, they do service work and got a great crew there. Keep us in mind. Don't you go by Sportz Auto Sales on Highway 280 in Kellyton today.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill in Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life. Red Flag Pest Control is Central Alabama's best in pest control, with hometown service in Lake Martin and now the greater Montgomery area. When you see pests, throw down the red flag. Termites, bed bugs, carpenter bees, mosquitoes, or general pests. Red Flag gets the job done at the right price for your home or business. At Lake Martin, call 888-943-0353 or Montgomery 334-265-1813. Red Flag, the best in pest control in Central Alabama.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our Best Rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Karen Chanel, your State Farm agent in Alexander City, Alabama, and the greater Lake Martin area. I want to talk to you a little bit today about your discounts. How many of you are entitled to discounts that you may or may not be receiving? One of the easiest discounts on your homeowner's insurance is that of having a fire extinguisher. Coupled with a deadbolt lock and a smoke alarm, that gives you an automatic discount on your homeowner's policy.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice. Bice Motors.
In baseball, and we're going to start off with the top 10 rankings, 7A through 1A, and it's impossible to not start with Phoenix City. Phoenix City 21-1 on the season. They probably played last night, so that could be a slight change as they're getting into area play, and they got some good teams in their area. But the number one team in the country is Central Phoenix City right now. They have been in the mix for the state championship multiple times, have won it. It was the first time I think they had made a state championship game since my senior year in high school, where they lost to Vestavia in a couple of games. But a very good baseball program historically. I'm sure they were when you were coming up, always were. And Scott and I were having this conversation. So if you live over there or if you have information around there, Scott's saying, what goes on in Phoenix City? And I said, well, they're in a hub where athletics are important. Very important. When you're that close to Columbus, you've got Lee County right there beside you. You're in Phoenix City where you've got a good population and you're rabid about your sports, especially the sport of baseball. When I was growing up, we had to go to Columbus, LaGrange, Columbus, to play travel baseball tournaments. It's always been massive over there. You know, and this is at a time where Auburn and Opelika, they didn't have a travel baseball organization. If they wanted to play travel ball, they came and played with us. So we'd pick up the best 2 or 3 off of Auburn's team. Several years we'd get some from Opelika. They would come to Elliott City, and we had a very good travel organization that had been around for many, many years. It was started by Eugene Reynolds and Bart Britton. And it was, you know, a successful group that you found your way to. But there wasn't a lot. Sylacauga had one back at that time too, but there wasn't a lot of options. Whereas today, you know, the city of Auburn's got 5 or 6 paid travel organizations in that one community when it comes to baseball. But back to my point, you had to go to Columbus. You had to go to LaGrange. You had to go to that area to play your tournaments because it was already massive in that area. And so, Scott, hard for me to believe that run that Russell County had when you were in school was not generated by that wealth of talent that was over in that area. I'm not saying all of them, but I bet you a certain portion of them didn't just grow up in Russell County. I bet they were pulling from Phoenix City and pulling from Columbus and pulling from areas like that. And that's what happens. You can either like it or don't, but kids find their way to play with one another, don't they, when they get the opportunity and they live that close to each other.
Yeah, and that kind of was the infancy of what we started to see with people really starting to try to get players together. And baseball was one of the, basketball too, but baseball is one of those sports where if you've been playing together for a while, it's just makes it a little bit easier once you get to the high school level. But, I mean, that east portion of the state when it comes to baseball is just phenomenal. And, I mean, Russell County had the run with the Rasmus boys when I was in school, but Phoenix City was still always right there. And so I was saying, you know, we would play in these tournaments and like Hardaway and Columbus and LaGrange, those teams, I mean, we were good, but like they were good. And so, because they played it year round. And so that was kind of our first introduction really to people playing year round like that. And where people, I guess, they have a larger amount of people to pull from. So it allows them to have more specialized sports, but always great baseball athletes there.
Well, right now may be one of the prime times for being high school baseball if you enjoy it over in Phoenix City, Alabama. Phoenix City's 21-1 on the season. We just mentioned this is only a couple of days ago with the Alabama Sports Writers Association top 10 rankings coming out 1A through 7A. We're starting in 7A. Phoenix City's 21-1, number 2 team in the state's Bob Jones, 23-4. Hewitt Trustful's number 3, 19-5. It's Thompson, number 4, 19-7. Baker comes in at 16-3. Let's stop right there. They're the number 5 team in the state. 6-8 years ago, I never talked about Baker in anything. Maybe only a couple of years ago, I never talked about Baker in anything. Every sport this year, from football to basketball to now baseball. And yes, you can get a run of athletes like we've seen here in Elliott City and that, but something tells me Baker's doing something right in their athletic department to get things flipped around like they have.
Yeah, I mean, I never talked. My only affiliation to Baker was really a friend of mine's wife graduated from there. I didn't know much about them, but Phylon kind of put them on the map in terms of my eyes. But you're right, recently they've been across the board, especially this season. They've been very competitive in all of their sports.
Chelsea's the number 6 team, and keep in mind this is a Chelsea team that's going to drop back down to 6A starting next year. They've got my high school teammate Michael Stallings as the baseball coach and the athletic director. They're 16-7. That speaks volumes. You know, they're right there on the cusp. Unfortunately, it would speak volumes about us, too. We're right there on the cusp of being in 5A here in Elliott City. But Chelsea 16-7, that is a great baseball community. It wasn't when we were coming up. I think Michael Stallings and the entire community deserve a ton of credit for embracing that sport. It's like we were talking. You got to know what to embrace and which ones your community cares the most about. Baseball in Chelsea is really important right now.
Yeah, and Michael's done a tremendous job and continues to and has always since he's been there. But they'll be pretty tough out in 6A next year in baseball.
Yes, they will. Mary Montgomery is number 7, another program down in the Mobile area that we haven't talked as much about, but this year in every sport they've been competitive. They're 15-4. Spain Park number 8, Oak Mountain number 9, and Sparkman comes in at number 10. Right outside of the top 10, I'll name 3 of those programs. Auburn High School is sitting at 11. They're 12-5 on the season. Enterprise in 12th. They're 14-4, and then Fairhope 15-9. Just a lot of great schools that have great talent up and down the board in every sport, Scott. And so, you know, one that's a little surprising to me is to look down and to see Vestavia's record. Vestavia coming off a state championship. I know the quality of schools and the quality of their competition is very, very high, I'm sure. But Vestavia, and this is when this poll came out a couple of days ago, was 9-10 on the season. Little surprising to see that. In Class 6A, Hartselle. Hartselle 17-4, Scott. They're a killer in baseball, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in school, it was the same thing. They have guys that can smash, obviously, but off the mound, they always have 1 or 2 guys that can really do something that not necessarily guys are throwing, you know, just gas, but just really good high school pitchers.
Great coach over at Hartselle. We've mentioned a few times in the last couple of weeks on our AHSAA programs, Coach Booth. Coach Booth getting to his 1,200th victory to go along with the state championship numbers. It's 8 to 10 state championships that he's won over in Hartselle. He is a legend in the high school sports ranks around the state of Alabama's Coach Booth over at Hartselle, and he's got his team at 17-4. Oxford is number 2, 14-7. Saraland comes in at number 3, 19-4. Mountain Brook's number 4, 17-3. Homewood's 5, Faith Academy 6, Helena 7, Calera 8, Gardendale 9, and Spanish Fort 10. Benjamin Russell in this first poll for the Alabama Sports Writers Association comes in at 12. 11-6 on the season. Not positive how things went last night. If you've got some information on the games, please call in. Benjamin Russell did get an opening win in the area in comeback fashion with a 6-3 win over Russell County. It was a big, big win there, and hopefully they did the same last night. Haven't had an opportunity to catch up with anybody and give us an update there, so please let us know. 256-234-6221. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hillaby Towers is an affordable senior citizens community located in Alexander City on Highway 22 East. Spacious one-bedrooms are available now. Great location, peaceful setting, comfortable living where pets are allowed and utilities are included. Call today to find out more information on Alexander City's best-kept secret, 256-329-0552. That's Hillaby Towers in Alexander City.
Sign Source is your local vendor for commercial and residential sign manufacturing and installation. We offer all kinds of lighted and non-lighted signage, from retail signs, LED message centers, event banners, vehicle wraps, the whole spectrum. We also offer service and repair on existing signs, as well as retrofitting to LED or installation of outsourced signage. We have the knowledge necessary to fulfill all of your signage needs in the short or long term. Visit signsourcenow.com to get started.
Satterfield Outdoor Living is Lake Martin's trusted friend for your outdoor land and leisure needs. We're the region's authorized Skag mower dealer for residential and commercial lawns and offer all the small engine accessories you need. With top lines of Steel, Echo, Shindaiwa, Husqvarna, and Metabo products that can tame any landscape. Satterfield is also your grill headquarters with Big Green Egg Grill. And our pros service everything in-house and back up all sales. Get the Satterfield Outdoor difference on Highway 280 right across from Tallapoosa Ford.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto. Central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
There's a new standard for the marine industry on Lake Martin, being set by Momentum Marine Lake Martin. Momentum Marine is located at the Blue Creek Bridge on Highway 49 South. Stop by soon and meet Les and the staff. While you're here, take a look at our extensive line of boats. Momentum Marine carries Crest, Manitou, Centurion, Monterey, and Robalo boats. Whatever your boating needs or dreams, the pros in Momentum will help you find the perfect boat. Be sure to ask about our brand new rental fleet. Stop by Momentum soon and experience the difference. Let Momentum Marine show you how to experience freedom on the water.
Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center provides optimum care for the whole person. Dr. Dimo Popov specializes in the prevention and diagnosis of high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, and acute and chronic conditions. Our weight loss clinic offers lipo shots and a guide to healthy weight loss. Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center, where lifestyle changes are made.
Scott, we got a Benjamin Russell update from last night. A big win, I think 6-5. If that record after a couple of wins this week, now at 13-6 on the season, which gets them probably right inside the top 10, as this first poll for the Alabama Sports Writers Association coming out had them right outside of the top 10 and the 12th spot. So great season so far. They're got really good talent in their senior class, but they got some young kids that are coming up that are really playing maybe even better than they expected or anyone expected, as young as they are. And so right there in the thick of things, really the only thing you can ask for in a spring sport where you're playing against great talent and you're seeing so many teams that you don't know really factor into how you're going to play whenever it comes into playoff run. But to get the first 2 wins in area is massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of puts us in the driver's seat to be able to win the area. But Russell County always a team that, you know, we enjoy beating. But get the win last night, and we'll travel to Sylacauga today.
Class 5A, top 10, Gulf Shores. Every sport it looks like now, they're going to be right there. They're the number 1 team. Boaz 2, Sardis 3, Russellville, one of those baseball programs that expects to win championships every year. They come in at number 4. It's Mobile Christian number 5, Shelby County 6, Alexandria 7, Elmore County 14-2 on the season, comes in at number 8, Springville 9, and St. Paul's 10. Scott, Elmore County really taking a step forward. Kyle Caldwell's doing an outstanding job with their football program. They were the doormat of their region a couple of years ago before he took over. I think they were 0-10 the year before he took over. They won 7 or 8 games his first year. They won another 8 games this year. Disappointing loss on a last-second touchdown pass by the great Cam Dooley over at Valley kept them from hosting a first-round playoff matchup this year. But, again, right there in the middle of all of these top 10 rankings, Elmore County more times than not.
Yeah, and it's good to see what can happen when you get, you know, people who have an interest and have the right leadership style to be able to get you over the hump.
Class 4A, Bibb County's 1, Bayside Academy 2, Etowah 3, Corner 4. Orange Beach 5, Deschler 6, Hanceville 7, Westminster Christian 8, American Christian 9, and North Jackson comes in at number 10. Finishing out these top 10 rankings down in Class 3A, it's Piedmont 1, St. James 2, Thomasville 3, Providence Christian 4, Decatur Heritage 5, Prattville Christian 6, Hoax Bluff 7, Gordo 8, Vinemont 9, and Westbrook Christian comes in at number 10. We'll run down 2A and 1A here shortly, but any really jumped out to you, Scott, that you've heard? Most of these programs that we're hearing are teams that and schools that really take baseball serious is the reason that you're hearing them all the time.
Yeah, and just listening to that 3A, I mean, you see it kind of in the football side. I mean, a lot of your private schools are there, but that top 10 was littered with private schools, and so they're going to be tough outs for a lot of people. Those typically only your lower classifications seem to be the people getting to the championship games.
Top three teams in Class 2A are Ayrton, Pike Liberal Arts, and Vinson. J.W. Long comes in at number 4. That's a program that has won a number of state championships, and expectations are high. The number 1 team in Class 1A is Milry. They're 19-0 on the season. Number 2, Summerton Christian. Number 3, Appalachian. Looking down the list, anybody locally? No, not in Class 1A. So that's the top 10 rankings in baseball as we see them by the Alabama Sports Writers Association. As we mentioned a little bit earlier in the program, if you've got athletes or teams that we need to highlight a little more than we do through our AHSAA efforts, please send me a message. Find us on Facebook. AHSAAradionetwork.com and is our website, and you can find us there and send a message over and let us know. But Scott, I love this time of year. We're getting into area play. You're getting into championship season. I like the new setup in baseball that they embraced. Well, you know, after I was in school, but even the first round, you got a 3-game series. It really tells the story on baseball teams. When we were coming through, the first 3 rounds were all one and dones, and then when you got to the semis, you got a 3-game series. So really enjoy that. And softball's a lot of the same. You're going to play 50, 60 softball games a year in some of these top programs here in the state. So it's a great time of year.
Yeah, and I like seeing it. I mean, 70-80% of the teams are going to be kind of what you typically see, but excuse me, when you get out of football and you start looking at basketball and more of your spring sports, you do see some other teams that are spotted in there that you can tell, all right, you may not see them in the fall, but come spring, whether it's softball, soccer, track and field, and then obviously with baseball, you start seeing some different names and teams that you typically don't get to cover throughout the year, and I enjoy that.
Let's roll over, talk a little high school football real quick. You quarterback club president here in Ellick City, and very, very active with a high school football program here at Benjamin Russell, and this spring's going to be fun. I'd like to know kind of the thoughts behind the scenes on setting up a spring game with Auburn. We haven't played Auburn maybe since you were in school. In an actual game, you know, the discrepancy between enrollment has really gotten it to a level where we're never in the same classification, of course. But Auburn High compared to Benjamin Russell now is 4 times the enrollment. So it does, but I love the spring matchup. It's a great, you know, we know we've got a good group coming back that's going to be competitive, and Coach Grider knows that area extremely well, and Coach Etheridge does a tremendous job over there at Auburn. I'm excited about it.
I am too, and like the spring game is a catalyst for what you'll see for the schedule the rest of the year. Pretty meaty schedule, and you want that. We bring Opelika back on the schedule. That'll be your first game. So, I mean, I want to see us play those types of teams, and, you know, we want to win, obviously. I never want to lose to those communities. No offense to y'all. I love y'all outside of athletics, but always a good community rivalry, and so it's a measuring stick, too, to see, you know, the last 2 or 3 years we've really made a lot of progress in reestablishing the brand and perception of the program, and being in these types of games gives you the true indicator, are we moving in the right direction? Obviously, we lose some mainstays of the lineup, but you have a lot of guys coming back with playing experience, so I'm looking forward to a good spring.
Opelika goes back on the regular season schedule this upcoming year for those of our generation. That was a very important game, probably outside of our area games and the playoffs. That was the most important game. It was built up like that. We all knew it. It was kind of the middle of the season. We were in the same area a lot of those games as well. And I like to tell this stat because, you know, this generation, it may not mean as much as it did to you and I when we were coming through, but from 1990 to 2000, we played 11 times, Benjamin Russell and Opelika. Opelika won 6, we won 5, and the discrepancy in score out of those 11 games was 167 to 166. So every game was 10-7. There's a different era now, but and defense was king back then. But every game was 14-10. Somebody may have a wild year and win one, 27-13 or 14. I think we did that our junior year. It was something odd like that. But Scott, that was when, every time we matched up with one another, whether we were at Opelika or in Ellick City, to say it was packed in the stadium would be mildly put. And Coach Grider knew that. Coach Grider was the defensive coordinator a lot of that stretch for Opelika.
Yeah, and I mean, I think back to we've had some packed houses, but my sophomore, junior year, I've never seen that many people at Sportplex. I mean, it was the entire hill was flooded with people. Both sides were full, and the 3-0 game in Opelika was one of the most competitive games, I've ever seen either. And Shunda Russo makes a heck of a play on a punt tackle, gets a fumble, and there's some things happen there. But that rivalry is one that is much needed for both communities. I think it gets. Anyway, I won't say what I was about to say. That could come across poorly, but I think it's a good game for both communities to have on their schedule.
256-234-6221 is our phone number. Up against the break. When we come back, we'll roll on over and see if Scott can stomach talking about a Final Four run for Alabama's basketball squad. Are you ready for this?
I'll try.
He's going to try. We'll try to get Luke on the phone, so there'll be some positive talk as well. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
76% of nurses say they went into the profession because they wanted to help patients. No matter the reason you decided to become a nurse, you have all the tools needed to advance your degree at Jacksonville State University. Our Master's in Nursing program is now offered fully online and can be completed in less than 2 years. You can customize a flexible course schedule so you can receive your advanced education degree all while working on the front line. JSU Nursing, your opportunity to advance your career and serve your community.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense. Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. That's when I found this, the Brux Night Guard. Now, the Brux Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brux Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Go to BruxNightGuard.com and order yours today.
There's only one option for top-of-the-line aftermarket upgrades on your vehicle, and that's Frontline Outfitters. We offer quality parts, lift kits, custom wheels and tires, bed covers, step bars, and toolboxes that are installed by trained and skilled professionals, to custom powder coating with hundreds of colors and finishes, to the highest quality film for window tinting using state-of-the-art film cutting technology. Call Frontline Outfitters at 256-409-8100. Don't be in the back of the line. Put your vehicle at the front with Frontline Outfitters.
Hillaby Towers is an affordable senior citizens community located in Alexander City on Highway 22 East. Spacious one-bedrooms are available now. Great location, peaceful setting, comfortable living where pets are allowed and utilities are included. Call today to find out more information on Alexander City's best-kept secret, 256-329-0552. That's Hillaby Towers in Alexander City.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Phone number below, 256-234-6221. Thanks to Heritage South for being the segment sponsor here. I'm Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy. Again, about another hour and 20 minutes left on today's program. We've talked a lot of high school sports in the first couple of segments. Let's roll over and give credit where credit is due. This Alabama basketball program has been knocking on the door for quite some time. May have the best coach in their school's history in Nate Oates. Bruce Pearl, I think any of us would argue, is the best coach that Auburn's had, and Alabama has done what Alabama does. Anytime Auburn gets some positive momentum going in one sport, they find a way to combat it and do the same on their side, and Nate Oates has absolutely done it. I really and truly thought that Alabama was going to take a step back this year after losing all that they lost. But they have one of the best point guards that this conference has produced in quite some time. Everything revolves around his play, Scott, and he's physical. He's a little unorthodox because he's a lefty. He can shoot it from the perimeter. And, buddy, when he gets into the paint and looks for those shooters out on the wing, they can knock them down. This is an Alabama team, if you told me they won a national championship, if they shot UConn's eyeballs out, or Purdue, who I think are the two best teams left in this tournament. If you look, neither of those teams have had a close basketball game so far in this tournament. But Alabama is an offensive team that can beat anybody on a given night, Scott.
Yeah, and the thing really that's impressed me the most is how well they've played defensively and keeping these games. I mean, that Carolina game, to keep them at like under 90. Mm-hmm. I mean, and, typically Alabama's been winning their games. They have to score a lot of points, and, they're playing well enough defensively where we thought that may be an Achilles heel for them going into the tournament. Now really may be something that allows them to win, but Sears is unbelievable. I was in a text thread, and we're saying, like, Aiden Holloway, like that's what we think that he is. And if you got that type of production for him, like what a difference that would make for Auburn. But Alabama has the chance to do something very unprecedented. I think they were already playing with house money when they were in the Sweet 16. Nobody thought that they were going to beat Carolina, and to beat them puts them in the driver's seat. I think that they'll beat Clemson pretty handily. I think that that'll be one that they can take care of, and then they'll be sitting in the Final Four. But to your original point, you could stomach football. We had kind of gotten accustomed to it. It's like, okay, it is what it is. But basketball is going to be our thing. And even if they're getting better, we still have the better coach. We have the better facility. We're doing all the right things. And now that's back-to-back Sweet 16s, now second Elite Eight in school history, and knocking on the door of a Final Four. Even if they don't win it, it doesn't really matter at this point. I think that I hate to say it, they've probably passed Auburn in terms of perception of programs. Auburn's still there, but Nate Oates he's the real deal. He's taking it to a different level. 4 SEC championships now over the last 6 years. Now, you say, how did you come up with those 4? Well, both years that they won SEC championships, they won the regular season and the tournament. So, and that's how we all count them. That's how Auburn fans count them right now. We've got our 4, and ours are different. 2 are regular season, 2 are tournament. But we all consider if you win one or the other, you're going to hang a banner up there. And Alabama's got 4 banners hanging up during this Nate Oates area. It's just a great team. I really liked their decision in the second half the other night to see a matchup that they thought they could exploit. They put Nelson out at kind of the point to bring the basketball down, knowing you're seeing a man-to-man, and they liked their matchup. They cleared out. They let Nelson get the ball down into the paint, kind of bull his opponent. And then, the beauty of Nelson, we all thought he may be a little bit better outside shooter than he has become at Alabama. But here's what I love. He is a physical player. He's 6'11". Is he a 5? No, but does he play a 5 a lot of the time at Alabama? Absolutely. And when he goes to the free throw line,
and crucial moments. Now, I know he missed the last two the other night, but that game was over when he missed those two. But he's an 80+% free throw shooter, and when he goes to the line in a crucial moment, he knocks them down, Scott. And when you got a post player that does that, that's a difference. You know, they're having inbounds plays coming out, full court inbounds plays where they're setting it up, where they're getting the basketball in to Nelson.
Yeah.
And you've got Sears over there that can stroke it from the free throw line too. I mean, they can win basketball games in a lot of different ways, and we saw it the other night with made free throws. That's the reason Auburn lost. I mean, Auburn goes to the free throw line in the same situations, and they miss them. Alabama goes to the free throw, and I know that, you know, that's not to knock our program to theirs, but when you got a guy like that that's down in the post that's going to be harmed a lot, has a chance to go to the foul line, you hope he can knock him down. He's proven it throughout this year that he can do that.
Yeah, and I mean, excuse me, when you're confident in your lineup to be able to make free throws, it allows you to do a lot more offensively because you know that you can run sets that allow you to get to the line where other times maybe you're shying away from that. So when you have somebody, like I bet they're 80, 82% free throw shooting team, I mean, that's tough to combat when you have people also who can shoot from the perimeter like they do. But Nelson, very clutch toward the end of the game with the and one, and just what they were able to do defensively, to create chaos for the defense in their matchups. I thought that the adjustments they made in the second half were very strong, and they're well coached and they're system based, but not really. Like, I mean, there's within the parameters of what he wants to do. Obviously, you want to shoot quickly into the possession with the shot clocks. You can get as many as you want, and you're shooting threes and kind of that Bucky style, but not really. They have a lot of freedom offensively to do what they want to do to make plays, and when he gets out of control, he'll rein them back in. But he trusts his players, and you can tell it, and that's something that can give you confidence needed also to get those big wins.
They do carry themselves, you know, in a winning fashion. I get the sense, especially on the offensive end, if they get behind 6 or 8, they're going to get them back. And, you know, any big made bucket for North Carolina the other night, Alabama got the ball out of the basket, and this is system, sideline, Loyola Marymount style offense. Now, has it taken a lot of different variations over the years since the early 90s when Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball and that squad was running that sideline break and they wanted to get a shot up within 6 or 7 seconds? Yes, there's a lot of different variations. But what I saw with Alabama, and I know you saw it the other night, man, they got those thoroughbreds out running. If North Carolina wanted to not get back quickly after a made bucket, Alabama scoring the basketball in 3 or 4 seconds on the other end, Scott. And those were all big buckets that they hit when they did that too.
Yeah, and anytime you're playing these types of games, you want to make your opponent uncomfortable, but they really made this a game. They played their style of game and made North Carolina adjust, and North Carolina didn't want to do it. They're as athletic as Alabama, but they didn't want to play that style the entire game, and you could tell it.
Well, North Carolina didn't shoot it as well as Alabama. Alabama didn't shoot it great the other night, but North Carolina shot it terribly from the perimeter. And if your point guard's going to go 0 for 9 from 3 and only make 3 or 4 buckets from 2-point range, I think he was 4 of 19 overall, you're going to struggle. Yeah. And Sears didn't shoot that way. And that was the difference in the basketball game. So Alabama playing for a berth in their first Final Four. This is only their second Elite Eight, and the first one coming back in the early 2000s. So for you Alabama fans, it's a massive day, and I can understand why, and you ought to be very, very proud of your program because it is fun to watch. It's a fun style of basketball, too, to watch, I must say that. 256-234-6221, more of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Truckloads of fresh inventory are rolling into Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, like this powerful all-new GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, now available with up to $13,000 off. Purchase the roomy GMC Terrain SLT discounted up to $8,750 off, and the GMC Acadia AT4 all-wheel drive discounted up to $7,000 off. Enjoy no payments till summertime at Glenn Smith GMC. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
You don't have to ask who, what, or why. Who's Diner is the go-to place for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Conveniently located at the corner of Highway 22 and 280 in Alex City, Who's Diner offers the best meals and the best deals in town. Try our fresh, made-from-scratch pancakes, chicken salad, Philly cheesesteak, or the Who Burger. It doesn't get any better than who? Who's Diner, of course, on the corner of Highway 22 and 280. Who's hungry?
Main Street Family Urgent Care.
Main Street Family Care offers a wide array of services that allows them to treat many conditions, and they also offer primary care. In addition to these services, they also offer DOT physical exams, lab testing, sports physicals, and vaccines. They accept most major insurance plans, including Medicaid. Main Street Family Care opens 7 days a week.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
If you listen carefully, you'll hear the roads of Alabama calling. Tony Sarah Ford has your answer. Serving you for over 40 years with one of the largest Ford and pre-owned inventories in the state and the Sarah Promise. Our best deal when you buy or trade, a 72-hour exchange policy, a no-hassle trade-in promise. Written offers are good for 7 days. And our best service promise. Our factory-certified technicians help keep your vehicle running smoothly. That's why Alabama can be yours to discover in a new vehicle from Tony Sarah Ford in Sylacauga.
Got our good friend Luke Robinson on the phone with us to talk Alabama athletics. And for those of you that don't know, and I think maybe many of you do, but Luke was a major Alabama basketball fan maybe before it was the in vogue thing to do. You've always loved Alabama basketball, your brother as well. Y'all attended a ton of games over the years. It's always been important to you and your family, Luke. So this is a great time. This is an opportunity to finally make a Final Four with a program that has had maybe more tradition than we give it credit for.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to have a team that's legitimately in the discussion. And what's been fun is like all of the doubts that people have had about Nate Oates have been slowly dissipating, right? I mean, I think that if you weren't a believer in Nate Oates now, then you just hate Alabama, and so be it. I mean, I can live with that. I mean, they're rival fans who still think Nick Saban wasn't any good. I mean, that just tells me how dumb they are. And tells me that they hate Alabama. But if you don't think Nate Oates is a good basketball coach now, and I've heard all he was a high school math teacher, blah blah blah. He does this, he does that. Yep, he's still on the learning curve, and that should scare everybody. Frankly, I mean, he's still learning how to do this completely, and he's this good. So, yeah, I mean, look, there were some games that were disappointed. There's some Alabama fans that are sort of uneducated about how good he's been at Alabama. And frankly, I mean, I have some friends that were texting me after, say, the Florida loss in the SEC tournament. They're like, we should just pack it in. We're not any good. He's ruined this team. And I was like, guys, y'all are insane. Do you not see what's happening here? Do you know how many other programs, I'm talking about blue blood, tradition-rich programs, would trade places with us right now? I mean, this was before the NCAA tournament. I mean, we're one of the teams we're a threat to get as far as anybody. And we're recruiting at a level. McDonald's All-American game is next week. I think remember exactly who has 3. One team has 3 All-Americans, maybe North Carolina, maybe Duke, maybe Kentucky. I can't remember which one. And then there are like 2 teams that have 2 players. Alabama's one of those teams that has 2 McDonald's All-Americans playing in the game. They've already gotten a commitment from a guy from Pepperdine in the transfer portal that averages, 15, 16 points a game, and he seems to be perfect for this system. I mean, Nate Oates isn't going to win every game in basketball. You never do. I mean, nobody's done it since 1976. So if you're going to get wound up about losing the SEC tournament, and hey, y'all know that I have said I wish more people thought the SEC tournament was a big deal. But I'm also a realist. Nobody really thinks it's a big deal. Alabama won it 2 years ago. Nobody cared. Auburn won it this year. Nobody really cared. Nobody really worries about it. That's why Kansas sat 2 starters out during their tournament, because nobody cares about it anymore. If you know you're going to be in the dance, why do you even care about your conference tournament? In the regular season, I wish people cared about it more. I really do. I want that to mean something, honestly. Well, Alabama won it 2 years ago. I want to be proud of it. But people just don't seem to matter. It just doesn't seem to matter to people that much. And I hate it. But all that people seem to respond to is, how far do you go in the tournament? Well, now Nate Oates has taken Alabama to a place. There's only been one other time in its history. And, he is quickly ascending to the best coach in Alabama history. And, again, I'm not being hyperbolic here, and it also says a little bit something about how Alabama's history may be lacking, especially compared to a Kentucky or compared to a UCLA. Yeah, it's lacking. But when it comes to the next tier down, Alabama's as good, got the same tradition as anybody else. I mean, they've got as good as anybody else. Outside of the traditional Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, that kind of thing. So, and Nate Oates is capitalizing on that, and he's trying to get them to the next tier.
Well, Luke, something that over the last couple of seasons that I thought that has really served the program well is the beefing up of the schedule. And last year, you look at some of those early matchups, and you're like, Alabama looks a little out of place in that. Even this season with some of the early matchups, they were, I think all of those early games, all of those teams made the Sweet 16. How is that translated into what we're seeing now with making this run? I think that the caliber of competition that he's done in beefing up the schedule has really helped, I think, not only from a branding standpoint and from a perception standpoint, but preparing them for these style of games.
I think that's a great point. And again, that's something that I've said for a long time. I learned in the early 2000s. Mark Gottfried's team, they had like a 22 or 23 win year. And Georgia got in over them, even though Alabama had beaten them, I think, head-to-head twice. And Alabama also went further in the SEC tournament. Georgia was like a one-and-done. Georgia was like 16-14 or something that year. And Georgia got in the tournament. And their reasoning was, well, it's all about the schedule. And Georgia played a tough schedule, and Alabama played a bunch of dented soup cans. And I think this year, look, again, this isn't me trying to take a shot. This is just true. I think if Auburn had played a tougher non-conference schedule and had tried to beef up their schedule, I think it would have behooved them later in the year. Instead, they sort of feasted on a bunch of teams that weren't quite as good, and everybody's going to tell me, well, they didn't know Indiana was going to be bad. Well, you should know Indiana had been good for a while. USC hadn't been good for a while. So, you need to work on that. And I think that it's better for Alabama to have played Purdue and Creighton and Arizona and lost to all of them. That's another thing, an argument people made. Yeah, they played all these big teams if they lost to them. That is true. That is true that they did lose to them. But they also gave them some invaluable experience, and it also allowed them to know exactly what they need to do to get better. So I think that playing a tough schedule and having a worse record is better than playing an easy schedule and getting to 25, 26, 29 wins, whatever, and not getting the experience. And, again, y'all know how I am about this. I'm a big proponent of I want your record to be good and your schedule to be good. I think both things need to be true. But the way basketball is set up with 68 teams getting in the dance, you can afford to do what Alabama did, play a very difficult schedule, lose to all of them in the non-conference that are good. I have no problem saying Alabama lost to all of them. But it helped them. It told them where they need to be. And eventually what you do is you start going, okay, we can play with these guys. When you play Purdue in Toronto, and you see 7'4", 300-pound Zach Edey, and you realize, okay, hey, now we all realize they're not going to call fouls on Zach Edey. We all realize that now. And so you just learn to play that style. Or if you play at Creighton, you realize, hey, this is a raucous environment. It's like when Auburn went to App State. I'll tell you something. It was better for Auburn to go to App State than to play Indiana and Atlanta. Now, that may sound stupid, but I 100% believe it. The App State game helped Auburn more, probably in the metrics and just psychologically, than the Indiana game did, because even though Indiana's got the name, Indiana hadn't been doing anything in so long, it just doesn't matter anymore. So I'm a big proponent of basketball-wise, create big schedules. And I'll tell you something else that I've always hated about basketball. I hate it when talking heads say, well, they're hot down the stretch, so we should let them get in the tournament. I've always thought that's so terrible. Just because you're hot in the last 10 games, it makes it sound like your first 10 games don't matter. And I want those first 10 games to matter. I want it to be important to college basketball.
Last question for you, Luke. Matchup with Clemson. Your thoughts heading into a potential Final Four berth with a win?
I mean, isn't it kind of ironic? Alabama and Clemson, by the way, have played in California before for a national championship in football, and that didn't end too well for Alabama. That was a kind of stinky one. I was there. But Alabama and Clemson have also played, closer to where they're going to be this time in terms of Phoenix, and Alabama won that one. So football, this is like a sort of a football on the basketball court matchup, and I think it's going to be that way a little bit. Clemson's very physical. They play not quite as up and down. This guy, P.J. Hall, is a dude. Alabama's a 3.5-point favorite. I feel like this is truly more of a pick'em. I think Clemson was kind of underseeded. I mean, I know they limped down the stretch a little bit, and that probably hurt them. They had a bad loss to Boston College in the ACC tournament. But, man, I'm telling you, this Clemson team, as they keep proving, they're in the Elite Eight. They're good, and they've got some dudes. And it's going to be a tough matchup for Alabama. What I worry about with the Tide is that they've expended so much energy. I mean, that North Carolina game, man, I was tired after watching it. I mean, it was up and down, and the momentum swings were crazy. It's been the best game of the tournament so far. And it was emotional. And meanwhile, you still got Latrell Wrightsell out. Nick Pringle hurt his heel, like in a weird way. And so Alabama's depth is taking hits, And, again, as we saw with Auburn, even Auburn was the deepest team in the country this year to me. I mean, they had 11 guys that could all play. And then Lior Berman, who, again, not a superstar, but a great kid and a great teammate, he gets hurt. And then Chad Baker-Mazara goes out because of the flagrant 2. And all of a sudden, you don't have any depth anymore. And, Alabama is not as deep as Auburn, and they've lost 2 guys potentially. I think that could be a problem tonight. So, yeah, I'm really worried about it because, I don't know how many people know this, but I bought my son 2 tickets to the Final Four because he goes to Arizona State. I bought him for Christmas. And I said, I'll go with you to the first one, and you can take somebody to the championship game. And so I just weirdly have 2 Final Four tickets. So I'm hoping Alabama's there, but I'm scared I'm going to be that guy in the crowd with a frown on his face watching Clemson play in my Final Four spot.
Oh, that's a great story, Luke. Y'all be careful on your trip back home, buddy. Look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, guys, have a good one.
See you, Luke.
Go ahead and take another break, and when we come back, got another hour on the program this morning. Look at the phone number down below. Give us a call, 256-234-6221.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
When driving, wear a seatbelt, not a filter. What? Alabama has a code of the road, and knowing it helps you follow it. This is a message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air has teamed up for the 4th year with the Food Bank of East Alabama and Montgomery Area Food Bank in an effort to reduce the high percentage of food insecurity within the Montgomery and Auburn communities. For every new Dixie Cares Plan membership that is purchased, Dixie will be donating 7 meals to partnered food banks. Last year alone, Dixie donated 13,356 meals. Our goal for 2024 is 15,000. Thank you for choosing Dixie.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our best rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Gorey at Gorey's Furniture. Come join us for the madness of March. Come join us here at Gorey's Furniture. Make a purchase, shoot from the line, 5, 10 to 15. That's % discount off your total ticket. So come join us. Let's have some fun. Everyone's a winner. Everyone will save. Come join us for the madness of March, and that's only at Gorey's Furniture.
When driving, stay sober, not stoned. Alabama has a code of the road, and knowing it helps you follow it. This is a message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
So a couple of segments on Alabama basketball, and we'll come back to it again, but I wanted to roll over and kind of finish up with you on Auburn basketball this year. There's been a lot of talk, of course, as your rival across the state's having the success that they are in the NCAA tournament, that you're trying to kind of come to an end on how this season went, and just your thoughts on players, which ones we keep, just all of the above, Scott.
I think that Auburn, despite the one and done, had a really good season. And I'm not going to say they maxed out, because I thought their ceiling was a Final Four berth. I thought they were good enough to get to the Final Four. But an SEC championship tournament championship is nothing to scoff at. 25-plus wins is nothing to scoff at. And having, potentially SEC Player of the Year is nothing to scoff at. So, I mean, on the surface, everything that you would want to have happening in your program is happening. What's taking place is that now we're a little more it stings a little bit more because of what Alabama is doing. If Alabama had gone out in the first round and Auburn had gone out in the first round, we'd have both been saying, it was a tough season, I hate it happened that way, but Auburn fans would have been a little bit, I think, okay. Not that you want to go one and done, but they would have been okay. What Alabama is doing is forcing you now to look at your program and maybe make critiques that aren't necessarily there, but you talk about it now because your rival is doing what they're doing. So saying all that, I thought that, I think we got one of the best walking the sidelines, and I'll take him any day of the week. But there's some development issues on the kind of under the surface that I think we do need to maybe look at. Like, there's some players we brought in that are supposed to be top tier, and this isn't just this year. This has been a multiple-year span where you take out a Jabari Smith, who was going to be good regardless of wherever he was, and you look at a Kessler who came from North Carolina, so he was going to be good wherever he was. Some of our top-tier guys haven't panned out the way you would have hoped, which maybe leads to some other questions that people may have.
Well, a lot of the questions that people want to throw initially are the smaller guards, going and recruiting smaller guards. I mean, how much do you take that into consideration? Is it just individual players? Because Jared Harper was a smaller guard, and I'd take him if we just could just roll him out there, or the imps of him every year from now until the end of time, then I'd be happy to have him at point guard for the rest of my lifetime. But, now we've looked like we've tried to find someone like him, and it's just tough to replace.
Yeah, and, we dealt with this with football some, and where we would say, we've seen what we could do at Cam, or, Nick Marshall, if you just get me that, like that's all that, and we haven't been able to get to that. So either A, those are just anomalies and phenomenal players, and, we caught lightning in a bottle with Jared Harper, excuse me, and Bryce Brown. But I don't have an issue with the smaller guards, but this is a stretch now, 5 years nearly, where we haven't been able to replicate that type of magic. And when you're playing teams like Tennessee and Kentucky, excuse me, who have 6'3", 6'4" point guards, and you're rolling out there with a 5'9", at some point no matter how good you are, you can't offset that. So, it's not as big a deal to me, but at some point you would hope that maybe we can kind of correlate that to some success.
Let's head to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the Saturday Sports Countdown.
Hey, guys, it's Brett.
Hey, glad to have you, Brett. Talked to Luke for a couple of segments there, and talked Alabama basketball. Have rolled in, and we're in the middle, so we may carry this segment over a little bit back there, Kane. But, Brett, your final thoughts on the Auburn basketball season and the state of the program?
Well, I love the state of the program. I don't think there's any question of where we are right now. We just came off an SEC championship. I don't think anybody needs to be pushing a panic button by no stretch. We just won 27 games, and I know it hadn't looked like in the tournament, but we've been the hardest conference top to bottom this year, and you can see that with how many teams were at the top, and it was basically one game separating 6 teams. And a play here or there, Auburn wins the regular season and the tournament. So Auburn's won 4 SEC championships in the last several years. I don't think there's any reason to be worried about this program at all. We've got a great coach. The only concern is trying to figure out why you can't get past the first or second weekend in March. And I think nobody is more concerned about that than Bruce Pearl. He's bringing the players in that he needs to bring in to give Auburn a chance to compete at the highest level. And I think we've all diagnosed it on our programs and listening to other programs as guard play. Just got to get better guard play this time of year, and especially at the point guard position. You saw what happened to Houston last night when Shedd went down. And I told you, Randy, on our program this week that I thought he and Mark Sears are 2 of the best in the country. And you see what happens when you lose him. Houston lost him early in the game, and they lost the game last night. So if Alabama doesn't have Mark Ingram, they're a totally different team. Grant Nelson had a great game the other night, but it's like Nate Oates said, he didn't even expect him to play to that level. So it all kind of starts and stops for your point guard, and Auburn just has not had supreme point guard play. And if anything, it's been average to mediocre. So got to get a point guard in here. I don't know if that's Tahad Pettiford. I don't know if it's Trey Donaldson stepping up his game more than what he's done the last couple of years, but that position's got to get better for Auburn to get over the next hurdle, and that's to make another deep run in March.
Transfer portal, your thoughts, any others getting in? We know Katie Johnson is. Are you going to be able to retain Janai Broome with a huge NIL deal? Just storylines around that, Brett.
Yeah, I think priority right now is getting Janai Broome back. I think he's very attainable. I think that he's not, you and I have talked about this, he's not an NBA guy, maybe a second-round guy that could go to Europe and play, but if an NIL deal is good enough for him, you could see him come back and be a Baycott-type player that North Carolina had this year. So I think he's already proven he's a tremendous college basketball player. Would be a massive gift for Auburn to get him back. And again, I think that's probably the priority for Bruce Pearl and the staff right now is to get an All-American bat like Janai Broome and then build the rest of the team around him. I think Auburn will have Chad Baker-Mazzara and Denver Jones, Chaney Johnson, and Trey Donaldson. I think all those guys will be back. I think Dylan Cardwell ends up coming back because he just loves Auburn. The question is Aiden Holloway. And, look, I know we were all disappointed, but he's got a lot of potential. I mean, I think he had to grow up, learn. I think this league kind of caught him off guard a little bit, and he's got to get better. You know, picking up your ball and going to another school doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get better. Sometimes you need to plant roots and try to grow and get better where you are. So I think he and Bruce Pearl and the staff will discuss that, and if they agree that he's still a fit at Auburn or he wants to stay at Auburn, he's going to have an opportunity. If not, he'll have the freedom to go get in the portal. But I do think Auburn's going to look in the portal and try to pick up another couple of guys. That's just the way it is in this world now. You try to get some older, more experienced guys. I mean, look at the lineup this year for Auburn. I mean, majority of those guys were transfers. Look at Nate Oates. Majority of what they had in there contributing this year were new guys. He had to pretty much build a brand new team through the portal and through recruiting. So I trust Bruce Pearl. Man, he's a great coach. Glad we got him. He'll always put Auburn at the top as long as he's there.
Spring football is coming to a culmination. Spring game coming up shortly. Brett, just your thoughts, things you're hearing, players that are coming to the forefront, issues that have continued to rear their ugly head. Just talk about Auburn football for a little bit and spring practice coming to an end.
Yeah, spring practice wrapping up. A-Day will be next Saturday. I mean, all eyes will be on the quarterback position as always. I really can't wait to see what Walker White can do. I think he's going to be the future of that offense. Love what we're hearing out of the offensive line. Connor Lew, Xavion Miller, those guys are really getting a lot of praise coming off the end of the season, and I think it's going to be a strong suit for Auburn this year. And we haven't been able to say that for a long time. I think that starts, I think your offense and your whole team revolves around what you do on the line of scrimmage. And, you know, Auburn's going to have a lot of youth up front on the defensive side, but Keldrick Falk and some of those guys I really think are going to be fun to watch this year. You know, getting Keontae Scott to come back in the secondary was massive after Auburn lost 3 key guys to the NFL and leaving. So I think this team's got a chance to do some really good things. The roster top to bottom is way better. It's athletic. Cam Coleman, Bryce Kane, some of those guys that are in there early, I think they got a really good shot to contribute early. I mean, you've heard nothing but praise out of Cam Coleman since spring practice started. So, you know, I think this is going to be a fun team to watch. It's going to be a young team, but it's going to be a lot better talent top to bottom. And, you know, Hugh Freeze's going to have to continue to add to that. You know, it can't just be a one-shot deal. Auburn, to build a program to compete in this league, going to have to recruit at a high level every year, but I think he's gotten off to a good start.
We appreciate it, Brett. Look forward. Got a big day ahead. A lot of great sports going on, and I know us Auburn fans will be watching just as closely as the Alabama. Maybe not with the same hopes out there, but I tell you, tip your hat. Maybe that's your final comment here. Tip your hat, Nate Oates, and this Alabama basketball program's got it at a level we haven't seen for them and pretty much forever as well.
Oh, man, basketball is a different beast in this state now, and I like it, and you like it, and we're all proud that we have good teams in this state, not just Auburn and Alabama, but Sanford and, you know, UAH, and I mean, there's just good basketball in it. UAB, and you know, we've taken it serious now and risen the bar, and you know, high expectations out of both fan bases every year now for a reason, because I mean, you look at what Alabama's done the last 3 out of the last 4 years, getting to the Sweet 16. They get to their second Elite Eight tonight. You know, Auburn making that run in 19, but, you know, winning multiple SEC championships and, you know, almost a regular in the tournament every year. So it's a fun time to be a basketball fan in Alabama.
Thank you, Brett. We appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.
See you, Brett.
Go ahead and take another break. We'll come back. Got about 3 more segments here on the Saturday Sports Countdown.
If you're tired of the same old and you're hungry for something really good, then it's time to go to JR's Sports Bar and Grill. JR's has the best fingers and wings around, and their menu is loaded with appetizers, burgers, salads, and so much more. Follow JR's on their Facebook to keep up with their live music events and drink specials. And if after a long day you just want to stay in, remember JR's delivers. Call in your order at 256-329-2328. JR Sports Bar and Grill, 145 Alabama Street in Alexander City.
Inspired by the bold bison, Southern Union students blaze new trails every single day. They press forward knowing their SU education will lead them to success. Affordable, accessible, and locally unparalleled. Whether you're transitioning to a university or launching straight into a lucrative career, a degree from SU SCC can help you blaze your path. 3 locations, dedicated faculty and staff, endless possibilities. It's all waiting for you at Southern Union. It's time to venture forward. Register today.
Lee Apparel is your go-to vendor for screen printed and embroidered apparel and promotional products. We print and embroider free custom-made graphics or outsourced designs on everything from t-shirts, headwear, corporate wear, team sportswear, high-end safety apparel, and promotional products. At Lee Apparel, you can always expect quick turnaround time, competitive pricing, friendly customer service, and free in-hands delivery on all orders. Visit us at leeapparel.com to get started.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
When you need an automotive hero, you got to call S&S Discount Tire Pros. With locations in Alexander City and Dayville, we are here to serve you today. From quick services like oil changes and tire rotations to in-depth automotive repairs such as suspensions, brakes, and tune-ups, S&S can take care of all your tire needs. You just have to focus on what's important and love the drive. Call S&S Discount Tire Pros today. We are automotive heroes, and we are here to serve you.
It's truck season at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful full-size and fully loaded Chevrolet Silverado LTZ, discounted up to $11,000 off, or the roomy midsize 3-row SUV, the Chevy Traverse, discounted up to $7,750 off, and the perfect size Chevy Equinox up to $7,750 off. No payments until summertime. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.
God, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go over as an Auburn fan here and update everyone on SEC baseball. And if you're an Auburn fan, it is not pretty. We're all big fans of Butch Thompson here on this program, have talked, and you probably, along with David Jones, follow baseball as much as any of our crew. Brett has really embraced it. Not that he has it normally, but Braden working on the field crew and being involved and talking more, I think, has gotten Brett even more into college baseball than he has been in the past. But this is not a good start. Now, we knew that the schedule was brutal, but the schedule's always brutal. At a certain point, you can't use that as an excuse. I mean, you're in SEC baseball. You got to win games. You don't win games, you don't get chances like we've had over the last 4 or 5 years to go to 2 College World Series. You got to win games. Right now, Auburn is not doing that in SEC play, losing again last night to Texas A&M on the road, 12-8. Auburn is now 1-7 in the conference. In the Western Division, Arkansas is number 1. They're 7-1 in the conference. Auburn did give them that 1 loss for their 1 victory. A&M now number 2 on the Western Division side at 5-3. Alabama at 4-4. Ole Miss is 3-4. Mississippi State 3-4. LSU 2-6. And Auburn, as we mentioned, dead last in the Western Division, 1-7. Not the start that you wanted. Not out of all of these games, in the words of Austin Robinson, not getting run out of the gym in any of them, but a very tough start, to say the least.
Yeah, and excuse me, we talk about it every year about how difficult the schedule is, and everybody in the conference is having the same issues. So you do at some point have to get over that. But I mean, that Mississippi State team's bad. They're bad, and they're playing better than we are, at least within the conference. And so that's a little alarming. But saying that, I mean, it's been pretty tough on the front end. So maybe if you can get, they're going to have to get a couple series wins pretty quickly to put themselves in a position. But that 500 mark's going to be tough if it stays on this track. But I thought the expectations going in were for a team to, we had a chance to be moderately competitive, a little bit better than what we're being now. But we're still early in the SEC schedule, and there's still time to eradicate some of these early losses. But you got to get going pretty quickly.
Mississippi State. Reasons there? How long will they stomach it? They did win a national championship a few years ago, so that'll buy you a little time. But Ole Miss and Mississippi State's not used to not being at the top of the SEC play year in and year out, and they've taken a slight step back.
Yeah, and I mean the amount of massive investment that they've put into that baseball program in terms of facilities and fan experience and just the game day culture and environment, specifically in Starkville. Ole Miss, I mean, Oxford has it there too, but Starkville's done an outstanding job with that program in terms of promoting it. It's tough. A good friend of ours, Kyle Graven, still follows Mississippi State baseball because of his brother Kendall playing there, being one of their better pitchers in quite some time. And just the fan base is on the verge of a meltdown because they're not used to. I mean, this would be back-to-back years where you're looking at it's like, man, as you said, you just won a national championship. So, to answer your question, I don't know how much longer they'll continue to sit there, but they're not doing well as a fan base right now.
Let's run over to the Eastern Division, run down the standings there. Kentucky's the #1 team on that side at 6-1. It's Florida second, 5-2. Vandy's third, 5-3. Georgia's 4-3. South Carolina 4-4. Tennessee 3-4. And Missouri comes in last at 1-7. So Auburn and Missouri, the two bottom dwellers when it comes to SEC standings right now on both sides, and both sitting at 1-7. Kentucky keeps putting a quality product out there in baseball.
Yeah. You go through the East and you kind of see an invert of what you typically would have seen maybe within the last decade, where South Carolina probably would have been closer to the top. Tennessee in recent years would have been a little closer to the top. But Kentucky over the last 3 or 4 years has really put a good string of seasons together, really good off the mound. And their hitting's there, but they're really good off the mound.
256-234-6221. Going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll run down SEC softball standings, talk a little bit about Mickey Dean, turning in his retirement papers. He will be done after this year. And where does Auburn go on the softball front, looking for a new coach? We've been pretty mediocre on that side, slightly above average at times, but nowhere near the level that Clint Myers had this program before all of the unfortunate situation went down with him and his family there. But, yeah, Auburn, it's been a long stretch, I think. Mickey Dean's been there 7 years. So it's going to be a big change and a great opportunity for Auburn to go out there and get one of the top coaches that are available on the market and see if they can get this softball program back to the level that they had it not too long ago. 256-234-6221.
Hi, this is Brian Weiss with Weiss Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Weiss Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Weiss Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Weiss Motors.
Planting season is here, and the Potting Shed Garden Center is happy to give you professional landscaping advice when it comes to planting your shrubs and trees. Auburn's best kept secret will have it all this fall. Mums, pansies, pumpkins, and much more. All an array of colors and sizes, along with beautiful pots and containers, indoor plants, and a great selection of other gardening gifts. It's all at the Potting Shed Garden Shop, where natural elements reign supreme. Located on the corner of Moore's Mill and Society Hill Road in Auburn.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, this is Andrew McGreer at Dunning Roofing. At Dunning Roofing, we specialize in high-quality, premium roofs. We don't build roofs that just meet code requirements. We build quality roofs with premium materials that significantly exceed our competitors' warranties. We put money on your roof, not in our pockets. If you're looking for a top-quality roof, call Dunning Roofing today for your free quote at 256-307-7601 or visit us at DunningRoofingAL.com for more information.
Lake Martin Funeral Home and Cremation is coming soon to the corner of 280 and 49 North in Daytonville. This new 10,000 square foot facility is conveniently located to serve the residents of the Lake Martin area and its many communities. A branch of Frederick Dean Funeral Home and Crematory in Opelika, Lake Martin Funeral Home and Cremation looks forward to serving your families and your communities, as we have since 1900 at Frederick Dean. 256-750-0381.
Truckloads of fresh inventory are rolling into Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, like this powerful all-new GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, now available with up to $13,000 off. Purchase the roomy GMC Terrain SLT discounted up to $8,750 off, and the GMC Acadia AT4 all-wheel drive discounted up to $7,000 off. Enjoy no payments till summertime at Glenn Smith GMC. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.
Roll over and talk about SEC softball standings, and if you're expecting it to be a little bit better on this side, brace. It's not. Unfortunately for Auburn here in these spring sports, it's not a really good start to the seasons on either side. As Tennessee is the number one team in SEC softball standings, currently undefeated 7-0 and 26-4 overall record. Georgia is 5-1, Florida 6-2, Texas A&M 8-3, LSU 7-4, Mississippi State 6-5. Here's one quick note before we continue on. You haven't heard Alabama and you haven't heard Auburn yet, so both well below that. Missouri's 4-5. Here comes Alabama in. They're 3-5 in conference play. Ole Miss 3-7. Auburn 2-8. South Carolina 1-6, and Kentucky 1-7. This Auburn squad is 15-10-1 overall, 2-8 in conference play. They can pitch it, but they can't hit it, and that has unfortunately been a little bit of the storyline. Over the last several years, they've had some premier pitchers, one of the top pitchers in SEC play. But when you can't, get 3 or 4 runs across the plate, then you're going to lose a lot of close games, and that has been the storyline for this Auburn program. Alabama 3-6 in conference play. That has not been the norm. They've been one of the top programs in the entire country, and for a long stretch, it was them in Oklahoma vying for national championships. Scott, neither of these programs off to a strong start.
Yeah, and it's for two teams who, for a decade or so, really have been there. And Alabama, really, Fouts has just kind of been a mainstay from a program and pedigree standpoint and what they've been able to produce, but it's not been good. And I was going to ask this when you were talking; it just had me thinking about it. The scholarship limitations that you face in baseball. Is it the same thing you're dealing with softball and
yes.
The number? So it's this, okay, because I was listening to those names and it's the same names. Now NIL is obviously helping to correct the market a little bit on that, but it's the same names that we see in baseball that have advantage of the
the problem with Auburn right now is they've had some outstanding recruiting classes in softball, but they can't retain them. Now, why can they not retain some of their best players, and why do some of their best players move on and have great success at other programs? You'd have to ask them individually to get an answer there. But all I know is that if that happens more times than not, then it's part of the reason that you're struggling. And on the Alabama side, I feel like they get some of the top recruiting classes as well every year, and they've got the brand, they've got the championships that you can sell to, and so I don't know. It's a very odd dynamic right now here in this state with Auburn and Alabama softball programs because softball's rabid in this state. It's a growing sport. And I think the girls that they have to choose from coming out of the high school ranks and out of the travel circuit ranks in the state of Alabama is better than it's ever been. You would think that would parlay into great success on the field. It has been great success at time on the field, but for whatever reason, the last few years has been a slight step back, and I don't have a good answer to that. Alabama did make the College World Series last year, so yes, they are still right there in the thick of it, but they're 3-6 right now, and that's not the norm for Alabama.
Yeah, and it is a little disappointing, and you think back to specifically talking about Auburn. I think you've seen it with Alabama as well, but when you have a program that's doing well, the fan support's there.
Sure,
and
it is.
Softball was maybe one of Auburn's most popular sports within the last decade, and so that's dwindled down. The support is there, but not where it was because we're not winning the way we were, and that's to be expected. I mean, if you're putting on a quality product, but it shows that if you're able to produce a winner, the fan bases will support you and make it worthwhile to make those investments into your specific sports. But, I mean, softball was a big deal at Auburn 10 years ago, and now it's dwindled down pretty poorly.
Well, you just felt like the SEC office and everyone around women's athletics knew that sport was sellable. And viewership's high when you put it on. I enjoy watching.
Yeah.
It's fast-paced. Ball's going out of the park. Pitchers are up there pitching that I know for a fact you and I can't go hit. And so that does change your whole perception of the sport that you're watching. And so softball is a sellable product, and it has been sellable at Alabama and at Auburn. I'm not saying that it's a cash flow positive product, but I bet it's close at times, especially the great years. And so it is one that you want to go out there and you want to try to bring and put great facilities out there and put a good coach that can win year in and year out. And Auburn hasn't been bad. They just haven't been to the level they were. And we'd like to get it back there. And maybe by Mickey Dean not stepping down, he's going to be retained for the rest of this year, but stepping aside and retiring following this year gives Auburn the rest of this season and plenty of head start time to go out there and try to recruit the coach that can come in and get the program back to where Clint Myers had it before all of the unfortunate situation went down and he and his family had to head out. But we're hoping for it. I loved it as well. Loved watching the College World Series runs that they had, SEC runs, top 10 rankings. Man, that is a fun sport, but it's been quite a while since Auburn's been in that mix. We'll go ahead and take another break here on Saturday Sports Countdown.
OGS Tournaments presents Crank for Bank. Win over $1.6 million in cash and prizes. Over 200 tag bass and 75 tag crappie are waiting to be caught by you in Lake Martin. Register now online at crankforbank.com for only $120. All ages are welcome. Fish from the dock, boat, or the shores of Lake Martin to win over $1.6 million in cash and prizes. It's Crank for Bank.
There's a new standard for the marine industry on Lake Martin, being set by Momentum Marine Lake Martin. Momentum Marine is located at the Blue Creek Bridge on Highway 49 South. Stop by soon and meet Les and the staff. While you're here, take a look at our extensive line of boats. Momentum Marine carries Crest, Manitou, Centurion, Monterey, and Robalo boats. Whatever your boating needs or dreams, the pros in Momentum will help you find the perfect boat. Be sure to ask about our brand new rental fleet. Stop by Momentum soon and experience the difference. Let Momentum Marine show you how to experience freedom on the water.
At C&T Electric, our clients are our priority. For the safety and security of your family and home, our technicians are professionally trained, drug tested, background checked, and wear uniforms with name tags. We're proud to have served the Elk City, Dadeville, and Lake Martin areas for the past 10 years. Give us a call at 256-234-0007 for all your electrical service and repair needs. Or visit us on the web at www.cntelectricllc.com and spell out the word "and."
The food at Oscar's Cafe makes your mouth water. At Oscar's, enjoy great tasting catfish, or maybe you're just in the mood for one of Oscar's fresh salads. Even kids know the place for a fine meal is Oscar's with a great kids menu. Oscar's also has great tasting burgers full of backyard flavor. So come on out to Oscar's Cafe for great food and homegrown hospitality. We're located on Highway 49 South in Dadeville, just before the Blue Creek Bridge. And remember, it's all fun and games till there's only one cheese ball left.
Inspired by the bold bison, Southern Union students blaze new trails every single day. They press forward knowing their SU education will lead them to success. Affordable, accessible, and locally unparalleled. Whether you're transitioning to a university or launching straight into a lucrative career, a degree from SU SDC can help you blaze your path. 3 locations, dedicated faculty and staff, endless possibilities. It's all waiting for you at Southern Union. It's time to venture forward. Register today.
OGS Tournaments presents Crank for Bank. Win over $1.6 million in cash and prizes. Over 200 tag bass and 75 tag crappie are waiting to be caught by you in Lake Martin. Register now online at crankforbank.com for only $120. All ages are welcome. Fish from the dock, boat, or the shores of Lake Martin to win over $1.6 million in cash and prizes. It's Crank for Bank.
Gotta love this Elite Eight weekend. Got Saturday and Sundays, Final Four berths on the line. Alabama in the mix. We've talked a few segments on that. Your thoughts about the tournament overall, teams you've seen, impressions on who you think after watching several of it, it's going to end up in the championship games against one another.
I thought it's been a really good tournament for the most part. The teams that were supposed to win. I mean, you had the Oakland, Kentucky. You've had some other matchups. Auburn going down was not expected. But generally speaking, the teams that were making runs, we thought Arizona going out probably wasn't expected either. But you look at a team like Clemson who kind of faltered a little bit toward the end, but they did enough to show it. But I think the most surprising team, and to Luke's point about the hottest team getting in, North Carolina State had lost 4 games in a row. Then they had to play 5 games in a row and win all of them to be able to get to a berth. And now they're making a run too. So I mean, it's exciting to see these types of teams. But for me, I really was hoping to see Sanford make a run. Like I was all in with that. I thought that it was a tough matchup for Kansas. They were down heavily, then came back. But I was really more so looking at the Gonzaga matchup, like the slow pace and half-court offense that you see from Gonzaga wouldn't have translated well against a team like Sanford. So I think that maybe they're just starting to kind of scratch the surface of the potential of that program. They're going to be in contention for conference championships as long as Bucky's there, and they'll be playing for opportunities to advance in tournaments. But overall, I thought it's been a great time, and glad to see that there has been some SEC and Alabama representation.
I think Sanford shoring up Bucky, extending his contract out, and that's really key for them to go out there and try to recruit to a level that can maybe take them the next step. You know, the one thing that was very obvious to me playing against really a tough matchup for them with Kansas was the discrepancy in size. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know that playing that system that they play, it's got to take a different type of size athlete. But, man, Kansas was so massive down in the post that if you can't combat that with some size, you're just going to end up playing. Not that they did end up having a chance to still win the basketball game, but you can see where that program and that system can go. If they get a few more pieces in there, I think they would be potentially in a run for, you know, who's to say that anybody's going to ever become Gonzaga again, but I'm sure that that's the picture that Sanford folks are telling themselves is, can we get this thing to where Mark Few's had it, where he's made 9 Sweet 16s. This wasn't one of their better teams, and they still make another Sweet 16. So Sanford's on the up. Auburn with a difficult loss. Alabama with an opportunity to make the Final Four. 2 best teams I've seen so far, though, are Purdue and UConn. Now, do they end up playing one another in the championship game? Who knows? But UConn just so skilled. The guys are as good as any of us have from an athleticism standpoint. They got a big man that can compete with just about anybody. And then on Purdue's side, Purdue's got a point guard that kind of gives me John Stockton-esque vibes. Now, he's got Zach Edey that makes his assist numbers go through the roof. But he's a confident guy, man. He shoot the basketball. I like the way he handles it. So they're never really, they don't seem pressured to me. When you watch Purdue in the past, I felt like their guards haven't been to the level of some of their bigs. Watching them this year, I don't think that's an issue, Scott. And I think they can handle pressure being thrown at them. And could be Purdue's year.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of that game yesterday, man. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I think that this is a lot different than what you saw last year, that even though people may have maybe propped that team up a little bit more than this one, I think that they were more prepared, and they've played teams like Alabama early in the season. They've been well tested too, and Edie is, it is what it is with him. You know what you're getting there, but UConn is the best team. Like, I think that they do everything well. They're very physical. They can play well from the perimeter, and they can force you to – they can adapt to any style of game that you would like to go. And so, for me, UConn, if they don't win it and go back-to-back, I'd be very surprised. But spoken with some friends, some Alabama friends, and I felt very comfortable that if they were to beat North Carolina – I thought that they were championship game bound. I said that I thought they would win it all, but I think that they're good enough to get to the championship game. Now, that means you'd have to beat a UConn, but, that's what you want to do if you're going to get there. Their route is a little tougher than probably what Auburn's would be. Not getting there, but in the actual Final Four teams, I think that their chances of winning it would be a little tougher than what Auburn had to deal with.
Watching Houston, they get more credit than they deserve every year. They're very good, but when I watched Auburn play them last year. We had a lead there at half. We didn't play well in the second half, but still, my eyes tell me that Houston's not as good as we give them benefit of. And they're constantly a 1 seed. You can't take anything away from them. They're winning 30 games every year. But and maybe it would have turned out different last night if the point guard wouldn't have gone down. But I still don't watch them and go, they're a world beater.
Yeah, I think last night showed two things. One, Duke is better than probably what they've been given credit for throughout the year, too. A little higher seeding than what you typically would see from a Duke team. But I thought that Kentucky and Duke were the two best teams in there, even though that Houston has done what they've done during the regular season. They haven't really produced when it comes to the tournament, as you've alluded to. But they're getting – I look at their makeup of roster and I'm like, how are they getting kids? Like, what is it that they're doing that makes you want to go to this program? Because you're looking at – I'm saying like Auburn, obviously Houston's much better place. Let me rephrase that. It's a different style of place to want to live and go to college. But I'm just saying I don't think that they're that far off in terms of programs, Auburn and Houston. Even though they're ranked higher, they've been winning more games, I don't think we're that far off from being a team like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just based off of the competition level that they have to play week in and week out.
That part, yeah.
They're not any further, but they do get credit for a lot better just based off of winning 30 games a year. But when I watch them in the tournament, I don't go, oh, my gosh, they're a world beater. I don't feel that way. Go ahead and take another break. We come back, we'll close out the program here on Saturday Sports Countdown.
76% of nurses say they went into the profession because they wanted to help patients. No matter the reason you decided to become a nurse, you have all the tools needed to advance your degree at Jacksonville State University. Our Master's in Nursing program is now offered fully online and can be completed in less than 2 years. You can customize a flexible course schedule so you can receive your advanced education degree all while working on the front line. JSU Nursing, your opportunity to advance your career and serve your community.
When drinking, take a sober ride home, not someone's life. Alabama has a code of the road, and knowing it helps you follow it. This is a message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
At Russell Medical, we're proud of our exceptional nurses, like Nurse Brandy Worthy. Brandy represents the selfless, compassionate clinical leader patients expect and coworkers admire. Brandy was recently honored with the Nightingale Award for Nursing Excellence for her high standards, sound judgment, and caring manner. Her passion for her profession inspires us all.
Being a nurse is not just what you do, it's who you are. I'm proud to be a part of the nursing team at Russell Medical. We are the link between all hospital services, providing you with exceptional, personalized care.
If you're tired of the same old and you're hungry for something really good, then it's time to go to JR's Sports Bar and Grill. JR's has the best fingers and wings around, and their menu is loaded with appetizers, burgers, salads, and so much more. Follow JR's on their Facebook to keep up with their live music events and drink specials. And if after a long day you just want to stay in, remember JR's delivers. Call in your order at 256-329-2328. JR Sports Bar and Grill, 145 Alabama Street in Alexander City.
Main Street Family Urgent Care.
Main Street Family Care offers a wide array of services that allows them to treat many conditions, and they also offer primary care. In addition to these services, they also offer DOT physical exams, lab testing, sports physicals, and vaccines. They accept most major insurance plans, including Medicaid. Main Street Family Care, open 7 days a week.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
Sign Source is your local vendor for commercial and residential sign manufacturing and installation. We offer all kinds of lighted and non-lighted signage, from retail signs, LED message centers, event banners, vehicle wraps, the whole spectrum. We also offer service and repair on existing signs, as well as retrofitting to LED or installation of outsourced signage. We have the knowledge necessary to fulfill all of your signage needs in the short or long term. Visit signsourcenow.com to get started.
Fill your tank, not your wine glass. What? Why is there a wine glass in your car? Alabama has a code of the road, and knowing it helps you follow it. This is a message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Got about one more segment here on the show, 256-234-6221. I did want to roll back and finish up with spring sports. We talked a ton about spring sports on the high school end. If you're over in Phoenix City, and we know we got a large base that watches because we get a lot of phone calls from that area, you got one of the best high school baseball programs in the country, currently ranked #1 by many outlets in the country. Is Phoenix City's baseball team, and Scott, that's saying something. This is a sport that, especially in other parts of the country, including here, you're going to get the best. They're going to come together. They're going to play. They're going to try to go win championships together. So to say that Phoenix City is the #1 ranked team in the country is saying a lot.
It is, and I mean, you look at what we're traditionally known for in the state, football, obviously, and basketball is starting to leap up. We've had a strong wrestling tradition, but baseball doesn't get the love that it probably should for the amount of athletes that are produced and the caliber of players. You look across these major league rosters now, and a lot of them have Alabama ties, whether it's high school here or the community college system. So, I mean, that we've been able to produce a high amount of major league players. Even locally, we've had several who've gone on, and most currently Kendall Graveman, who's in the process of rehabbing now. But Phoenix City is – that area, East Alabama, is the epicenter for me for baseball, and that's Auburn, Lee County, Russell County, and then what you get a little bit with West Georgia. But a very exciting time for them. I hope they're able to continue it going.
Yeah, 21-1. Know that they've had some games since a couple of days ago when the first Alabama Sports Writers Association poll came out. Auburn was 12-5 at that time. You know they'll match up, and whoever wins it will win the area. And those two teams know each other extremely well. Both compete really well with one another, and so that will be a fun watch to close it out. In Class 6A, Hartselle sitting at #1. We talked about Coach Booth and his 1,200-plus wins now, and many state championships he's won over there at Hartselle, so that's one of the premier programs. Benjamin Russell gets a big win last night against Russell County, wins their first 2 games of area to take a good lead in the area there, 6-5, won the first game 6-3 earlier in the week. I think that takes Benjamin Russell to either 13-6 or 14-6, so a good season with a really good group of seniors and some younger kids that are coming up that are playing really well. So this is a good stretch run. This is what we do for. You're going to have a lot of storylines to talk about in the next few weeks, and I'm glad to see that there are a few programs. One that is really on the come up is Reeltown Baseball. They got one of the, if not the top freshman recruit in the state, one of the top freshman recruits in the country pitching for them. Last week, they've gone on the road to play some teams that they've never really played. They went down south and played, a doubleheader with Saraland. Now, they got run out of the gym in the first one, but they threw, I think his name's Jamarcus Smith, threw him in the second game and lost to Saraland 2-1. So that's a 2A program playing against one of the top 6A programs. I think the number 4 ranked 6A program in the state. But freshman, 92-94 on the mound. Plays a heavy travel circuit, plays good friends of ours, kids on the travel circuit over in Auburn, and he's one to watch. Got great athleticism, and also is their next one up to play quarterback over at Reeltown. So Reeltown's got a great tradition in football, and let's watch them here in baseball. In Class 2A, you throw a guy like that, you win a state championship. You got to just find a couple of others to hold on and swing the bats well enough to put some runs up there. But when you got a premier pitcher, you can win championships. We've seen it many, many times in this state. So, Scott, fun time of year.
Yeah, and this is I love football. I love watching basketball, but baseball is my favorite sport, and spring sports in general. But this time of year is a lot of fun because you get to, as you said, talk about some teams that you maybe don't get to talk about as consistently as some others. So great time of year for sports.
We appreciate all of you tuning in out there. For Scott Hardy, I'm Randy Lee saying tune in next week. If you're an Alabama fan, good luck. Final Four berth potentially on the line. Should be a big, big day for the Alabama faithful. So for Scott, I'm Randy saying thanks for tuning in to the Saturday Sports Countdown.
If you listen carefully, you'll hear the roads of Alabama calling. And Sarah Honda has your answer. Serving you for over 40 years with one of the largest Honda and pre-owned inventories in the state, and the Sarah Promise. Our best deal when you buy or trade, a 72-hour exchange policy, a no-hassle trade-in promise. Written offers are good for 7 days. And our best service promise. Our factory-certified technicians help keep your vehicle running smoothly. That's why Alabama can be yours to discover in a new vehicle from Sarah Honda in Sylacauga.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.
Lee Apparel is your go-to vendor for screen-printed and embroidered apparel and promotional products. We print and embroider free custom-made graphics or outsourced designs on everything from t-shirts, headwear, corporate wear, team sportswear, high-end safety apparel, and promotional products. At Lee Apparel, you can always expect quick turnaround time, competitive pricing, friendly customer service, and free in-hands delivery on all orders. Visit us at leeapparel.com to get started.
Have you met your local Farmers Insurance agent, Patrick Holina? He proudly serves Tallapoosa County and Alexander City families and businesses and is ready to review your existing policies or provide a no-obligation quote today. Call the Holina Agency at 256-234-0037 or stop in today at 704 Commerce Drive to get smarter about your insurance. Again, that's the Holina Agency, 256-234-0037.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
This is Kalijah Country, Lake Martin's best country. Kalijah Country 97.5.
Country look good on you. Tearing up an old two-lane too. Way down in Alabama, where they love living safe. Trying to write a song, the local country station will play.
Lake Martin's best country. Kalijah Country 97.5.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. That's when I found this, the Brooks Night Guard. Now, the Brooks Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Bruck's Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Go to brucksnightguard.com and order yours today.